Quanta folks, welcome to another episode of Alchemising Education, our little sister podcast of Faark the Shoulds. I'm Jodi from QuantiMama.
Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Kerri from QuantiMama.
And we are picking up our conversation with Dr. Maxine Therese from Childosophy, who has the most incredible and insightful parts to how we can access parenting and support our kids even more.
Yeah, and it was based on her article of whether the school system was really built for our children. That's where it sort of really came from. But we're diving in deeper and going into all sorts of directions. So, yeah.
So enjoy the rest of this episode and we will look forward to seeing you on the other side.
See you soon.
A lot of teachers that don't have children experience the same thing because epigenetically they're going back to their own childhood as they care for children. So that's another big part of my research, is that there's this function happening in all of us as human beings. It's part of our evolutionary process, but it's part of that process that when we're in the company of a 5-year-old, we regress to being 5. It doesn't, it's not consciously right in front of us, but we almost parent our child from what we needed at 5. Now, if there was trauma or drama or a particular patterning, or say we didn't like school, say we hated school, and then our children start school, we've already projected our 5-year-old experience of school onto them epigenetically, unconsciously, implicitly, and we wonder why they're resisting without exploring that there could be something I've got against this thing or whatever. So always coming back to ourselves. But yes, we're whole. We're all whole, exactly as we are.
We're whole and unique. It's quite incredible. Yeah, just seeing that reflection from our kids, you know, of our own 5-year-old self is something that we, as you said, it's unconscious. We don't even recognise that. But that's where it's a really powerful thing if we can actually sort of look beyond their behaviour, again, as you said, what's beneath that. And that's what I really love about your work, is that it's not just focusing on the behaviour, which a lot of us do. We sort of think, you know, why is our child not, you know, following the rules? Why are they disobeying me? Why do they not, you know, respect me? I mean, I've been guilty of that for sure. But to sort of think that they're just reflecting that so that we can actually, you know, look at that ourselves and understand, well, that's actually a trigger in me. They're just giving me that message. It's powerful. That's why I've always said our kids are our greatest teacher.
Yeah, I don't always rate them as a 5-star teacher.
No, I know. It doesn't always feel comfortable,
Right.
but we know.
And you know, I love it because it's real and it's like,
yes.
and their evolved version. So another thing I say is that it's really futile to try and resist a child. Like, we want to learn ways to go, what's going on for you so I can understand, so we can work together, rather than do it this way. And then they're like, no, not doing it that way, no way. And, you know, can you imagine a classroom of resistant children? We need better ways of understanding the child so that when we come to meet them and the things appear, like the pushback, which is all natural, the resistances, the behavioural concerns, can be welcomed rather than fought, because a lot of the time it is that they're wrong, they have to be fixed so that the rest of us can have an easier experience in this group setting or whatever, rather than saying, oh, perhaps the ways we're expecting them to meet the rest of the group is not the best for everyone, and they're the canary in the coal mine that's showing us what we need. But then it requires a lot, because how triggering is it to have someone at you all day, someone that you've got to keep an eye on and track down. And, you know, we know these realities of trying to manage behaviours in that way are exhausting. So it's almost like, I think we've got to a point in human history where we're like, we're not, just something's got to give. Our children are really hard to manage. Like, this is not something, so we need a new map. And that's really why I've spent the last 25 years researching this. And it's important, but it takes time too. So what can you do in your lives today that help keep your children's feelings and thoughts connected? And that's understanding their needs, I think, like when they don't feel safe, when they don't feel they can emotionally express, when they don't feel that they've got any power, when they don't feel that they're loved, when they don't feel they can speak. So these are the first 5 needs, how do we work with that? And how do we identify that? So I've got resources and charts and things like that that help you discern common behaviours and the unmet need, and then ways that you can support that need. But mostly as parents, we need to understand our children come in already equipped with 7 generations of history. So when they're responding to the outside world, when they're responding to life, if we don't account for they may be responding to something I have no conscious memory of because it was something their grandparent experienced, then we open to the wonder of the child's wisdom. It's almost like, well, we've got nothing. I can't think anything that I am going to show this child can help if I don't listen to what's going on for them. And I don't believe that they're telling me they had a dream about the grandfather, or that they have a concept about death, or that they saw someone that's passed over, or whatever it is that our children come to us with. If we don't have a framework to go, oh, that's actually understandable. That could be epigenetics. It could be a past life experience. From a soul perspective, our children have all of this information. We just haven't had a big enough map to understand it. And I guess that's my endeavour. It's like, how do we get more people to see like this so that the school experience even will be different than what it is? So it's like we can choose to take our children out of that system, but then there's a lot of our world that's still following the same system. So it's really about keeping ourselves together, keeping our children whole, as less fragmented as we possibly can. And, you know, as I said before, I've got adult children, and every day they show me a part of myself that I can work on. And so we're eternally growing with them, and they're forcing, I think, this evolution in consciousness for sure, because they're not putting up with what we would have put up with.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's a lifetime of learning and growing together. I think as parents, we often feel like, you know, we have them between the ages of, you know, when they're born and 18 and then they're off. But actually, if we really embrace that connection, that child-parent connection, and, you know, the beauty of it in all of its forms, we actually continue to do that well beyond that, you know, 18 years of age, as you're experiencing, Maxine, and, you know, you're seeing the beauty in that. And
it's not easy, you know, so we need help, we need groups, we need communities, we need support to say, oh, I know what you're experiencing and this has worked, or this has not worked, or you can apply this, or perhaps this is a way that you can approach it with your child. So sort of in part I answered your question, Kerri, but not really. So if parents have something that they see in their child that they wish to change, that they're not okay with, like they think this behaviour is going to lead to some future consequence, then absolutely it's our task. But Carl Jung tells us, if there's anything that you see in the child that you wish to change, first change it in yourself. So
Awesome.
the things we get stuck on, that, oh, they're doing that and that's going to lead to some negative, and I've got to change it. What if we did say, oh, my child's behaviour is triggering something in me. Can I spend a moment feeling into my body what that is? But then we're not taught where to look, what it feels like, what intuition is, what is appropriate, when it's a yes, because we've said yes to things that didn't feel right for us, and we expect our children to say yes to things that don't feel right. So this is sort of the groundwork, that we just start paying attention more, and we see the child as whole. So it's like, if a behaviour comes up, it's like, and it's not easy to do all the time, like this is actually an awareness, it's not a problem, it's growth. But when we're stressed, and when we have to get out the door, and when it's persistent, and when it's been long standing, like it might be something that's ingrained, so it's been most of the child's life, we become intolerable. So I think it's really about, how can we welcome what's in front of me without projecting my own unmet needs? Because if we had our needs met every day for ourselves, we've grown up, we're not children anymore, we're adults, we know we can be safe and secure our life, we know we can say what we need to say, we can express our emotions, we can act in a way we want. But you think about that, a lot of people, we're not happy with the work, we don't feel safe, we're in relationships that we're not 100% in or whatever. So we have to start to look at all those things. If we expect our children to be well, happy and healthy and whole and evolving us, then we have to be prepared. Am I meeting my own needs? Because once we meet our own needs, it's like we have an overflow. So the added benefit is getting to know ourselves means we've got more to give, which is our essential nature, I think. Giving and receiving has to be equal. And if you're in a giving role, which you girls are, and everyone that, you know, we sort of come across, it's like, oh yeah, we want to help. And everyone's so ready to commit to a cause that they believe in, which is really beautiful. But if we do that from an unhealed, unmet need, generally it's going to be a harder road than I'll just take care of what I need, then I'll have all of this to give. And so when you meet your child without any preconceived unmet needs or any projection or any past that comes forward, they feel it. They just, well, Mum's got space for me. It doesn't matter what I tell her, she's going to be able to hear it. It doesn't matter how weird it is or what time it is, she's going to welcome it. And how good does that feel for our nervous system?
Oh, absolutely, for both parent and child. Really.
I'm curious about with the 7 needs. Do you see that there is a predominant that comes through for kids and a predominant that comes through for adults, and does that change with the generations, or does it tend to be scattergun?
Yeah, I think interestingly, like when you look at the 7 needs in a physics way, like a physical energy way, this was a really important point in my theory and my thesis and what got my doctorate, because I couldn't find evidence that the energy in our body doesn't work like Maslow told us with a hierarchy of needs. Like if we meet need, then that leads to the next one, leads to the next one. It's like I wasn't seeing that in my children. And I was seeing random things that I thought and was told that children shouldn't experience, which is peak states of knowing, access, evolved wisdom, concepts about life and death, you know. And it's like children shouldn't be thinking about those things. They're not at this stage yet. Does that make sense? So in regard to our energy body, the 7 chakras, the 7 foundational needs, if we see them as energy centers that are filled simultaneously. So as the child's growing, their need for safety and security might be more. As we know, they need to be cuddled, held, swaddled, you know, they're going to cry. It's like they need to be secured. But they also need to know that the emotional environment's stable because they're already picking up on the emotional landscape and energy of the family. They need to know that they can act. They need to know that they are loved and worthy of existing. They need to know that their cries or their expression will be responded to. They need to know that they're part of something bigger, like pattern recognition is the 6th need. And they need to know that they have connection to a vital source that's invested in their best interest, which is the crown, which is our spiritual wisdom, or our 7th need, which I call the need to know. So it's the questions and the big ideas and all of those sorts of things. Now, they all grow simultaneously. There's a lot of theory, even when I was doing my research, that said that we have to feel the child's need to be safe and secure up until age 2. Then we focus on the next one. Then we focus on the next one. Then at age 5, you're going to start to see the need to act, which is your solar plexus go a little bit wobbly because they're growing into that stage. And yes, there are some correspondences with stage-wise development, but we don't grow in stages, because if we grew in stages not as a wholeness, we wouldn't have access to the other energies as a baby. And they have access to everything. And with my model and map, I correlate the energy centers with every body part. So a child comes into the world, doesn't come in minus a kidney, it doesn't come in minus a nervous system, it doesn't come in minus a brain, it comes in whole. And the way that we respond to each one of those things is developing it. So it's like we have to pay attention to all the needs. Now, there'll be pattern of need in families. So coming back to your question, there'll be a pattern of need. So Some families will have a lot more work to do around safety and security because they've been in domestic violence or they've been in war. A lot of people who have experienced war and fled their homeland, or they've had their house burnt down. So if that's happened in a generational setting, in a family system, then the child may need more attention in that need. But that need also triggers other things, capacities, all the things that we might see as problems but are actually amazing capacities that we try and dull, or issues and symptoms that are a result of not something that's happened to the child, but it's something that's happened within the whole family system. So we can attend to one need, but they're all working at the same time. So the map helps us to understand that this wholeness in a visual way too, I think, Jodi. It's like, oh, we have these 7 needs and there's a lot more, but for the purpose of the work and where we're at in our evolutionary perspective, we're sticking with the 7. Yeah. And there's so much in that. Like if we could master those 7 needs and have them, that would be taking us to a whole another level where we go, oh, there's not 7 needs, there's 7 times 7 needs. And so, well, we're not there yet. So the map sort of is rudimentary as you can make it, but it's not, because it took a long time for people to even think about energy development and growth and development of the child different to stage wise. So this is not a stage wise. It includes, but it transcends the stages because the child's whole at each and every stage. So if we don't understand that, then we're going to miss vital information about life and death and all those sorts of things that our children are bringing forward, so that we have a deeper understanding of what our role is here and what my role is with this particular child. So I think if you see your relationship as a parent from that perspective, it's really nice. It is for me anyway. And in my experience, everyone that I've worked with get a lot of reassurance knowing that this child is a gift. And even in their hardest moments, they're going to reflect something. So if you can work on that, you'll see a change in the child. Most people are like, oh, it's just a switch of perspective. I was never told that. I didn't believe that. Now that you've shown me, it's working in a different way. Or my child actually is saying things that they haven't been able to communicate because they're not being told it's not appropriate or it's not right time, or go back to your work and you haven't read that chapter yet, or whatever else, all the other demands that we have when we're in structures like that.
Maxine, I'm really interested about those parents who have children who are struggling to get to school or are not enjoying the school environment. But we keep seeing them back in, and because, you know, we feel it's the right thing to do, and that's what society is asking of all of us. But what can you say to those parents around the cost to the child when we're constantly sending them back in and asking them to adapt to an environment that's not made for them?
Yeah, well, I think too, and that's the Substack article, isn't it? It's like, is school really designed for children? No. So if we continue to go against what we feel, so some people will send their children to school and the child won't be wanting to go, but it's sort of not a priority, I guess, because it's just the way it has to be or whatever. But if we're getting to a point as parents where we're conflicted, then it's really important that we explore that. But another important point that I want to express is it's interesting when we work at this level, because if that's happening, it's not wrong either. It's not wrong that this is happening, and it's not causing some sort of damage to your child that's it's not irreparable. It's the present moment awareness that you have as the caregiver of your child that's going to move you both through, or you as a family through, things in a way that transcends the old, I've done something and I can't fix it. It's like, if there is a rub and we've been forcing our child in a particular way and we realise that that's probably not the best, I've got new information now, and what I've done in the last 5 years is not going to crack it anymore. It's going to cause these subsequent, or we see something in the child and we go, I think that's because for 10 years I was this way as a mother. we want to be really kind to ourselves
Yes.
and acknowledge that we're part of this field of evolution. And now that I know better, I can do better, because a lot of parents live in guilt and shame. And I certainly don't think anything is irreparable. I mean, Jodi's a beautiful example. I mean, you know, when we're gone, when we catch up with death, we mightn't have the opportunity that we have now to repair, restore that bond or that understanding or meet that need for our children. And as they grow, there's always a new opportunity to meet it if you're aware of it. But trust your instinct.
Yes.
So if something feels so at odds and I can't keep doing this and I've got to find a better way, I mean, that's how my work was born. You know, trust your instinct. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but that's why we need to find people that maybe have taken a step further or one step ahead, or actually working on the same problem, so that you get a different perspective of this is how we did it or this is how we did it, which is what a lot of the homeschool community is doing anyway, isn't it? It's like, well, we don't want to see anything as, I believe anyway, I mean, it's not always been true for me. It's been a reality, but I don't see anything as against, or I'm not for or against anything. I don't see anything as being wrong in that sense. It's like, if it doesn't feel right for me, then I need to express that, and I need to make sure I do something to protect myself and my children from that, and then I have to decide what's right because I'm the parent up until a certain age. But yeah, it takes a lot of courage. And all of you parents and people that you're working with, you know, just developing a bigger sense of who we are, who our children are, and then seeing all of the things that come up as problems in a day-to-day experience. What's that helping me to understand about myself? How can I develop that? And generally, we've all had bad school experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we used to get the strap. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you girls, I'm sure, but I'm like, it was barbaric, you know, like detentions, physical, corporal punishment, you know, you weren't allowed to have lunch, you know, all those sorts of things. And you had to sit, you weren't allowed to go to the toilet. We had kids in class wetting themselves, you know.
Yeah.
That was my school experience.
Yeah, me too. I think we've
So it's
spoken
like-
about that a lot in the podcast.
Yeah.
Is all of those experiences. Yeah.
Yeah,
kind
and I
of
think
wild.
too, yeah, it's actually inhumane.
Yeah,
In
and
the guise
but we don't want
of-
to call that out, do we? It's a bit uncomfortable to say that.
Well, in the guise of, we know what your children need. So the more parents that can
Yes.
know what they need
Yes.
and know their children's needs,
yes.
the less we leave our children open to those systems and structures that say, I know what you need, even if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the biggest messages we want to give to parents is it's that it's not your child that's the problem. It might be just the environments or the systems that you're trying to work within, and that there are always options.
And also trying to fix a situation with limited resources as well. I mean, there's a real beauty in what you're talking about with recognising the child as whole, because it's not lost on me that as we meditate on that and we keep looking at this child who is behaving in a way that perhaps we don't want them to. We want to be more controlling and you know, exert some kind of pressure in how they express themselves. As you keep meditating on that, at some point it's going to occur to you that you're also whole as well.
Yes.
And that's where probably a lot of healing starts taking place, right?
Yeah, well, most of our drives and wants and desires are from that unmet child. So we can go back and accept that we perhaps didn't get everything we needed, and now we can give it to ourselves instead of expecting a system or a child or a relationship to give it to us. If we can actually humbly say, oh, that's not a problem, that's an awareness for me, and do the work on that, it sort of softens everything. But we live in this human body that has a lot of programming and patterning that is also co-creating with an energy that's bigger than anything we've ever imagined. So I think for every human being, it's a real task to come home to ourselves in that way. And it's a day-by-day thing, but absolutely seeing the child as whole, seeing the problems as indicating something that I can fix in myself if I don't get offended. And then supporting the child to know that those things are welcome, like they're welcome. And we're going to work on it together. Like how reassuring is that for a nervous system? And that's the other thing that I didn't say at the beginning, that the 7 needs, because they're energetic, they're actually tied to our nervous system needs. So there's a lot of talk about nervous system regulation, especially in school communities. But if we have our needs met, then our nervous system is operating exactly how it should. So need for that. So it's really a reverse take on that, but they are our nervous system needs. And that's what new biology and quantum physics shows us, that each of those energy centers is connected to a vital aspect of our nervous system. We all need to feel safe. We all need to express our feelings. We all need to have love and be loved. We all need to see a bigger vision of ourselves. So the 7 needs, once understood, met, and then have a map that, when my child's wetting the bed, it's an unmet need for emotional expression. Can I introduce some sort of storytelling or documenting of the day at night with them in a gentle way, and let's see what happens to the bedwetting? Does that make sense? It's like the bladder and bladder issues are all related to too much pressure emotionally. So if we know that, then we can work on that at that level, and that's really what the map helps us with.
Beautiful.
So, Maxine, it's I'm sure we could keep talking for days, really. I guess
problem.
I'm just grateful for the article that you did write, so that it did prompt this incredible conversation. I think what we'd like to think is that our listeners are going to take away from this conversation that, we are evolving. We need to evolve. We need to look at the systems around us and just, the environments that we're putting our kids into, but to sort of, I guess, know that there are options there, that we don't have to say that, school's bad or homeschooling's my only option, but it's an opportunity to start observing, to start getting curious, to start questioning, to start adapting and, choosing differently for our children, and really listening to them. I think that was definitely one of the things I got out of the parenting program, and your book was really, just listening to what's beneath that actual behaviour, knowing that there is a lot that's going on underneath for them. So, thank you so much for your conversation with us today.
Thank you. I've loved it so much. And I think I said to you at the start, like I'll always go over or go on a tangent, but I hope I've answered your questions. And I absolutely think that with the article that really got us together with the Substack idea of, art schools built for our children, it's really, can we start questioning that without feeling threatened? We should be able to raise any topic with having a for or against. We should just, let's have a look at it. What does it feel like for you? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And then we're all really relating to each other in an open, curious way, rather than saying you're right, we're wrong. Yeah, so I think that's the beauty of really how we meet any situation, but school for sure.
Yeah. Just feeling safe to explore it all, is important. So,
and I would just like to say thank you, because I think this is a conversation that could easily happen in birth preparation and certainly early parenting as well, like super early parenting. I see like the newborn child and probably oxytocin being that support hormone of the wholeness being encapsulated in that moment, and all possibilities being available to that child and the family in that moment as well. And so having a vocabulary around, those 7 foundational needs would just probably create so much more coherence in family units, particularly for the first year as well, which can be so taxing on families.
Absolutely.
Because they're trying to live in a world that is not set up to support that, so...
And there's so many there's so much noise and so many opinions. I think coming back to our intuition and having a map to go, I can relax into that because it feels right, then that leads to wellness, So I think, yes, just really supporting others to know that there is approaches that help us understand ourselves as wholeness from the very beginnings, and then how do we work with that if we're not always seen ourselves as whole, or we've never been seen as whole. And that's the work. Yeah,
absolutely. It's beautiful. I'm sure there's going to be many parents out there taking notes, and we'll obviously put links in all the show notes and so forth. But if people want to be able to get a map for themselves, where do they obtain that?
My work is all on my website under Childosophy, so www.childosophy.com. And I have, everything. You'll find everything on the website.
So can you just quickly tell us what your focus is with your work right now? Like, where are you putting most of your energy?
Most of my energy at the moment is in repair. So I'm in a little bit of a repair mode. I had a significant injury 12 months ago, which actually has restructured and realigned me because I had a broken back in several places. So I've been doing a lot of return to my early work, which is the article, that whole philosophy behind my work. So a lot of work in education and parenting to get the map and model more visible.
Yeah.
Because once people see it, and once people know the depths of research behind it, and once people know that this is not just an idea, it's actually something that could move us all forward, that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I have usually predominantly worked one-on-one at the same time, but most of that's on the side at the moment, and I'm doing a lot of work and research and building things for education.
Exciting.
Amazing.
And it's very much needed, and it's so nice that you can continue, the passions that you have around this topic and can get it right out there to the people who really need it. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited too. And I'm testament, I think, to the map and model, because it's sort of what I see and how I live, and I know it works. So it's like, how do we apply it? And that's really my impetus as well for the little ones, to keep them whole.
Keep them whole. I love that.
Well, we love people that walk the talk.
Yes, Thank you, Maxine. We really appreciate this conversation today.
So lovely to meet you, to speak with you both today, and I hope your audience gets something out of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Well, we did anyway. So,
absolutely. Thank you.
I always. Thank you. Bye.
All right, Quanta folks, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Alchemising Education. We hope that this has sparked some kind of inner fire within you. Please go check out Dr. Maxine's work. It is so valuable, and we are so delighted to have joined you in conversation. Look out for the next one.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Quanti folks.
See you, Quanta folks. Hey, Quanta folks, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Birth is transformational. And it can be transformational in the right way and in the not so right way. So how do we arm ourselves to be really prepared for this incredible experience? Well, you wouldn't go out and run a marathon without any kind of training. You'd at least do occasional stretches. And the High Vibe Birth course, which is self-paced, available at the QuantiMama.com website, is available for you. You get to luxuriate in all of the ideas and transformational techniques and the beautiful information that can only have a positive effect on your birth. So get fit for your birth marathon and head to QuantiMama for the High Vibe Birth course. Beautiful Quanta folks. At QuantiMama, we have a mandate that we feel so passionate about. We want and we are raising the community's vibration and frequency and consciousness through parenting and birth experiences. Such incredible, transformational experiences that will shape you as a person and are the very fabric of life. Do you want to find out how to high vibe your experience even more? Then QuantiMama is your place. Head there for the High Vibe Birth course, ultimate preparation for birthing. Head there if you want to re-engage your child in the love of learning for the Take the Leap course, which is a deschooling course for parents. There's beautiful mind movies
And obviously this podcast is there, and we are here to support you. So head there for all the juice.